Hi, my name is Wendy Ann Clark, and this is my channel Transformation, where I talk about how God desires that you would be transformed into the image of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit. And here I bring teaching that I hope will encourage you to cooperate with the Holy Spirit and to be changed over time. And today I want to talk about responding to tragedies. Like sometimes when we respond to a tragedy by blaming. And human beings, we don't always know what to do when the world seems out of control. And the recent tragic flooding in Texas with the focus on the Christian girls camp, a huge tragedy because so many children died. And some have responded by asking all kinds of questions. And I think there are questions that will need to be asked, but at the right time. So in the beginning, while search and rescue is happening and people are just dealing with the tragedy of loss, I don't think that's the right time to start asking all the questions about how things happened and why things didn't happen differently and all those kinds of things. I think that initially it's the time to jump into action. Some people will jump and help any way we can. Some people will pray fervently what needs to happen, offer comfort to the people that have lost, those kinds of things. But some people, they've responded not just by asking questions, by actually trying to find someone to blame. And some people have even made things up, trying to blame where it doesn't even belong. And when we feel out of control as human beings, it can be pretty scary. And we often have strategies that we use to try to make ourselves feel more in control and less afraid. And blaming, finding someone to blame, is one of those strategies. Or thinking through how this would never happen to me, that's another strategy. And I remember back when I was in graduate school and one of my instructors talked about a female faculty member who'd been attacked in her office at 10 o'clock at night. And I often thought back to the story and the conversation that we had about it as I was walking back to my car after teaching a late night college class later on. And at the time, the faculty member who was attacked, others quickly responded with, well, she should have done this, or she should have done that, or she should have done this, and then she would have been safe. I think this is totally inappropriate and kind of unkind and cruel in a sense. Some suggestions, they were reasonable, if not completely practical. Like people said things like, she should have had the door to her office locked. Well, usually when we were in our offices at teaching college, the door was unlocked so that students could come in and visit us. I suppose you could lock it, wait for a knock, look to see who it is. There's things that you could do. Some people said she should carry mace and she should have been able to, mace that person. Or some said she should never be alone, which of course is ideal. But I know as a college instructor walking back to my car from my class, a lot of times I was alone. And I thought about, often I prayed that God, please let me park under a light that's working so that I'll at least be walking in the light. Because we would get to our classes, it'd still be daylight often, and you wouldn't know if the light you parked near would be burned out, So never walk alone. Yeah, that's a nice idea. Not always possible. Other things that people presented were a little more far-fetched. Like they would say, well, you should never wear a dress to work. I'm like, as if she could have been dressed differently and been protected from that attack. Oh, that just makes me cringe. Most of the suggestions came from other women who were afraid, and I understand that. In the case of the deaths in the recent floods, there was one reporter who said, this is a tragedy that was absolutely preventable. That was a quote. Really? No. Really, it wasn't absolutely preventable. There have always been, and there will always be natural disasters that are more powerful than we are, and that we didn't plan exactly for, and if we had done this instead of that, maybe it could have gone differently. Yes, we learn as we go. Fewer people die in hurricanes now than they did in the past. Even though some people want to claim we have more hurricanes, fewer people are dying. So we've gotten better at some things. We're better at predicting them. We're better at responding to them. What happened in this case in Texas seems to be that the flood waters rose so quickly and that so many were actually caught off guard. And we'll know more and understand better as time goes on. But no, this was not absolutely preventable. Even with our best preparation for storms and earthquakes and fires and accidents, we will never be able to prevent all deaths because we're not in control. When a child gets cancer, some people respond by explaining why this would never happen to their child. They have good habits, they eat healthy, they do this, they do that. It's scary to think that you can be doing all the right things and still have tragedy strike your household. But that's the truth. That's the truth. And some religious people have reasoned that because they're good, they will escape tragedy. But Jesus promised that in this life we will have trouble. But we can take heart because he has overcome it, and we carry on looking forward to eternity and the time when all of creation will be brought back into perfect order. Some have argued that the children at a Christian camp in a conservative state somehow deserved what happened to them. And I think this is just sick and horrible thinking. But it is a way of self-preservation. That wouldn't happen to me because of where I live or because of how I vote or because of what I believe, that sort of idea. But the high waters that came up, they came up for all kinds of people. And there have been deadly floods in all kinds of places with people who believed many different things. And your beliefs, they're not going to protect you from tragedy. We can't keep bad things from happening by always being smart, always being strong, always avoiding dangerous situations, or by always being good. I remember staying at a hotel away from home with my husband when it started to rain heavily and the river behind the hotel started to rise. And my husband and I talked about then, would we know if the situation became dangerous or not? I mean, would we be alerted? And what would we do if we were? I mean, we had a conversation about that because we really didn't know because we were away from home. There was a family one year that was having this huge family reunion in Florida. It got caught in a hurricane and they didn't evacuate. And the results were tragic. But would you have evacuated? Would I have evacuated? I mean, these people were all visiting there. Some of the neighbors hadn't evacuated, and they looked at them and thought, well, they probably know more than we do. And they had family members that had come from all over the country, and this has been a trip that they'd planned for years, and it'd been in the works, and it just seemed like, should we evacuate, and then where we would go, and all this stuff. So would we have evacuated? We'd like to think we would have. And in hindsight, they should have. We don't really know for sure what we would do in a situation. So when something happens like that, our first reaction should just be compassion and mercy and kindness and help, and all of the details about what people could do better will be sorted out eventually, and we will learn from it and we will move forward. But our first reaction shouldn't be to figure out how that would never happen to us. How do we live in a world where we're not in control of all things? We can either live with God and hold on to him, or we can choose to live by our own wisdom, but we don't have the option of being totally in control either way. We just don't. In Deuteronomy 31:8, it says this, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. And this is not a promise that we're going to escape tragedy or suffering or scary situations. This is the promise that we don't face these things alone. The parents who lost children and who know the Lord intimately will experience his presence with them as they move through this incredible tragedy and into the future, a future that's different than what they had imagined just such a short time ago. But it's going to require that they seek after the Lord and that they hold on to him. Tragedy is always an invitation for all of us to look up and to find God and to hold on to God. But we don't have to look up if we don't want to. We can stumble forward on our own if we choose to. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Psalm 73:26 says this, my health may fail, and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart, and he is mine forever. Our hope is in God. He's in control. He's powerful and good and just and right and true and holy, faithful, trustworthy. No, we are not in control of so much that we will face in this world, and we don't have to be, because God's in control. I'll close with how King David spoke encouragement to himself, because he knew his God and he knew he could trust him. Psalm 103. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, who satisfies you with good, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. The Lord works righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. He made known his ways to Moses, his acts to the people of Israel. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. He will not always chide, nor really keep his anger forever. He does not deal with us according to our sins, nor repay us according to our iniquities. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his steadfast love toward those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far does he remove our transgressions from us. As a father shows compassion to his children, so the Lord shows compassion to those who fear him. For he knows our frame. He remembers that we are dust. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. For the wind passes over it, and it is gone, and its place knows it no more. But the steadfast love of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear him, and his righteousness to children's children, to those who keep his covenant and remember to do his commandments. The Lord has established his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom rules over all. Bless the Lord, O you, his angels, you, his mighty ones who do his word, obeying the voice of his word. Bless the Lord, all his hosts, his ministers who do his will. Bless the Lord, all his works, in all places of his dominion. Bless the Lord, O my soul. I hope you found this helpful or encouraging. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you liked it, hit like. Share it if you think somebody else might like it. Hit subscribe if you just want to help me out on YouTube. Hit that notification button if you want to be notified when I post new content. And thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.